What's up, noob here again? Check it out. So we're gonna go through setting up quizzes. This is freaking crucial because this will bite you in the ass if you don't do it right. So the other thing, first things first, when you're setting up your Google Drive, I do it by the date or the month in the folder that I'm in, and then I organize them by exact name. So you're gonna notice that you're gonna get frustrated because if they're doing AWTs and they got multiple like task assignments or whatever inside of those, you're gonna find that like this one is like a 081 com 0101, but it's request a medevac and evacuate a casualty. So Sergeant Nelson went through and he split that topic, but he named them all this almost the same thing, except for like this one was evaluate a casualty or evac a cash. These two, this was request a medevac and evacuate a casualty. So they were the same AWT number across. So you'll notice that I went in and put an underscore and a 1 and a 1 to pair the slide deck with the test. That makes organization a hell of a lot easier once you start getting into this and you start going back and forth, setting up your quizzes and exams and your material. So I've done these two already. We're gonna go in. So I'm just in my Google Drive. That's all that this is. So in the top right corner, the dots start there. Go down to preferences. Before you start any of your quizzes and stuff like that, make sure that these are checked, and you can go in here and you can just type in 100 so that it sets a default point value for all of your exams, and then hit save. So what this is all about is you want it to collect email addresses. If this is not clicked and you don't have it set up, if you don't have a way in the quiz to identify a person. I found this out the hard way the first exam. My first question was just a test question, and then went down through it. And now you can see my first test question is a last name, and my second one is first name. The reason is that if you don't have this checked, whoever, say, Joe Snuffy 1 submits this, and then Joe Snuffy 2 submits this, and you don't have last name, first name, and an email, it's gonna come up and it's gonna say response 1. And it's just gonna have test questions and answers. It's not gonna tell you who it is. And then response 2 is gonna do the same thing. So it's gonna be response 1, response 2. You have like 30 responses with no names or identification on any of it. Don't do that. You will hate life, and they will hate you, because then you're gonna reset the test and be like, go do it again. And you're gonna be like, yeah. So, preferences or settings, click the little cog. This bad boy pops up. This says collect emails. Same thing, again, must be done. You can click response receipts. So once they finish their test, it will send them an email. And this is if they request it. This is the always. This is a restriction parameter. You need to be careful with these, because if you have it checked on accident, when the soldiers go in to do the exam, they're not going to be able to, because they are not within these trusted organizations. You can do edit after submission. I don't really care to do that because they can do it again. Presentation. You can show a progress bar if you want. You could shuffle question orders if you want. Sure, why not? Show a link to submit another response. This is if they fail it. This, if they fail something, you can go and put something in here like, hey, knucklehead, try again. Then quizzes. So these are all quizzes. So when you click this, it assigns a point value to the question and allows auto grading. Auto grading is it's a bullshit term. It makes me very angry. It's the one thing that I hate about Google Forms. And we'll get into that once we start doing the grading portion. And I'm going to put that in another video because that in itself is a task and a half. But the auto, quote unquote, auto grading, the only thing that auto grades is it will generate in Excel with your answers and responses and the overall point. You know, if they got 25 out of 26 right, or if they got 30 out of 100. That's the number that it will give you. It doesn't actually auto grade. There's a bit of a task that goes involved from when the time that they submit their responses to the time that you actually input that response grade. You can release the grades immediately, or a manual review, which we have to do anyways, and I always uncheck this. So according to General Lucky's guidance, I know he's retired now, but the guidance for VBA was if they tried, and this comes down from the command, if they tried and failed, they still tried. It'd be like if they showed up at VBA and they failed the quiz, they still showed up. In that regard, they can retake this as many times as they want to pass it. That way they get a go on the AWT. But this also enables them to just, they're going to get paid regardless for VBA. Because if they attend, if they took the exam, if there's proof that they took it, if they took 10 of them and failed 10 of them, they're still, as mad as it makes me, they're still going to get paid. Because that's my time and my effort to grade these, and they're going to be a failure even when they can open the slides on one screen or their phone and then take the exam on the other screen or their phone. It makes me so mad. But anyways, I digress. I'm not going to give them correct answers, because then they can fail it, get the answers, and then retake it and pass with 100. No, screw you. Point values, yes. Missed questions, sure. And then we're going to save. That is how you set up the parameters of this. So, this is the file name, top left. This is exactly how it's going to show up in the folder. I just clicked that, there we go, in the Google Drive folder. Label that accordingly and make it easy on yourself. I don't know why I have two of these open. So, we check the email box, so this is going to have an asterisk. Hey, you have to put in an email address here. Now, pay attention. First question is going to be last name or last name first name. We did last name first name, or rank last first. But the issue is that in this, I've said this before in another video, one question is one column. One question is one column. So this is column A, this is column B, this is column C, this is column D. And then each individual entry, each response is going to be a row. Left, or down, 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 so on. So if you do last name and then do first name as a secondary, then they're gonna break these up for Excel. It makes it way easier to track. And then rank, like, whatever, it's an exam. Who cares about rank? We all know. And then this, which platoon are you in? This, just doing it this way allows you to go through and they can just select it, and then you know what platoon they're in. So if you want to decide who out of what platoon took it and which one didn't, perfect. Those are like the first three things. Question one, question two, and question three. They're required. You have to do them. No ifs, ands, or buts. That way, when they take the exams, you're not going to have a headache to deal with in trying to come up with results to give to your ARA for who actually attended and who didn't. Yeah, so that's the basic setup and working the quizzes. I guess we'll give you a quick overview because testing is a different thing. So these have no point value unless you feel so inclined that your troops are not smart enough that they deserve points for when they put their name in correctly, which you'd be surprised. Some guys will just put in their rank and then just keep on trucking. Luckily with email here, you can bounce it off of another one to figure out who did what if you so choose, or you can just be like, no. So right here is the create button. You can import questions from other areas. You can add a title and description, pictures, videos, or other sections to this exam or this test question. So number one, this is required. It's a required, it has to be. All of these have to be, because if it's not required, if they skip it on accident, if they like scroll past it and keep going, it will automatically count it incorrect. Versus if it's checked and they skip it, it will be like, yo, you got one that you need to finish, and it will highlight it in pink and they have to come back up and do it. I strongly recommend everything in multiple choice. It takes a few more minutes to set it up for us or whoever is setting up the exams, but they're doing it in Google Forms on theirs, and then they share it to you and you upload it. So they do all of the legwork in the beginning. The reason I say that is because if you do short answer or paragraph, which we've done before, it is a nightmare. You essentially have to go in and grade every single, you have to look at everybody's answer. So you have 100 people, and so you're looking at a test with, I don't know, let's say 10 questions. 10 quizzes, 10 questions each. That's 100 questions times 100 people. That's not assuming that these guys don't fail it and then try and retake it to get better. Now you're in the thousands of responses that you're grading over and over again, and you have to read through the short answer. So keep that in mind. If you like reading really dumb things or things that have just been straight copy and pasted from the slide deck in which these questions came over and over again, knock yourself out. Because the problem then is that if one person puts everything in lowercase caps or in lowercase font, text, whatever, and then the next person puts everything in uppercase, and the next person makes a misspelling, that's 3 different types of entries that you have to sort through in your short answers. If somebody puts a period where the other person, if it's a whole block paragraph, but at the very end somebody doesn't copy the period, then it's 2 entries. And it does it over and over again. You'll find stuff with like 100 entries because everybody wrote something different. It's insane. So, multiple choice. So you write in which ones, you can click add other, and now you click answer key. Then you highlight, this is the right one. So when they take the exam, if they click this, it's gonna count it wrong. If they click this, it's gonna count it right, and they're gonna get 10 points. And the points, you actually have to manually input them to set it up. So this is gonna be out of 90, just so y'all are tracking. Like they could have put in another question for 10 points, they did, whatever. So then that's it. Then you just go to the next one. Or you can go over here and you can click add, and it will add another question down underneath. So that is how you set all this up. You can duplicate these questions to make it quicker if you want to trash that. If you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna click add, and you'd be like, oh no, I already have that question. Then you just delete it and keep rolling. Google, at all of this, everything that you do is all cloud-based. So that means that everything that you touch, everything you change is saved automatically. All changes saved in Drive. It does it pretty much immediately. come on, focus. So this is how you set it all up. It's fairly simple. It's fairly straightforward. You give points. See, look at that. So apparently if you get this right, you just get a ton of points. What the fuck? I didn't write these, I didn't set these up. So potentially somebody can just get like that. See, there's another one. So this is why I go through and I do this crap, because I check these. So we uncheck that because it's not required. Not a requirement. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to go through and check these just because soldiers, I do this, I've done this 4 months now. So like I would say that I'm SME and pretty proficient. Last VBA, we only had one hiccup on one, and it was because it was a late entry and I didn't have the parameters set up right so that it was looking for these people in a restricted group and it wouldn't allow them if they weren't. So, anyways, that is how to set up a quiz in a nutshell. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, what the fuck mates, let me know. Out.